Hello. This week in BCM241 Media Ethnographies, we're talking about digital artifact platform proliferation. So this week we are taking the content that we created last week and we're building our online persona by getting it across as many different media platforms as we think are relevant to our audience. So platform proliferation is all about repurposing. The basic idea is that you take the material you created, chop it up, and share it across as many platforms as you can. Then in your blogs this week, you're going to explain how you shared your content across different platforms and started building your audience. And we can use the four ethnographic and qualitative research skills of perspective, problematizing, approach, and conceptualizing to structure that blog post. All right. So my digital artifact started with the podcast. I've captured the audio and I've captured the video separately. We can use an RSS feed, a traditional podcast system, to get that onto all of the podcast apps, or we can use a subscription service. I'm going to upload the video that I captured using the free software OBS, and you can have on-screen elements, or again, you can use a subscription service to do this. We've got the WordPress for the podcast. There's a blog that we've created for that. We've got YouTube for video. We've got podcast audio apps. We've got Instagram for screenshots or images that we can create to advertise the content. I'm going to cut up the video and that'll give us content for the reels, the shorts on YouTube, and clips for TikTok. Later down the line, I'm going to experiment with live streaming on Twitch. So that's the general plan. But I wanted to review our core ethnographic and qualitative media research skills to help structure the approach. So let's do that. Let's start with perspective. All right. As we are personally researching and investigating our media niche and doing background research, we are widening and deepening our perspective. As media researchers and content creators, our most powerful tools are noting audience and content creator behaviors. So we are constantly observing what's going on in the media niche. We talked a little bit last week about how many comments do the creators that you follow comment on? What are the kinds of content creator behaviors that resonate with particular audiences? How can we repurpose, change, adapt, build on that? What are the key kinds of content that are being repurposed? A lot of the content that I see repurposed in my media niche come from live streams or longer form video essays that get cut up and put into shorts. Actually, I think platform proliferation is one of the areas in my media niche that could be done better, even by the large content creators. Repurposing content, you have to pay attention for tone. For example, LinkedIn, when you're putting content there, has a more professional tone to, say, the quirky or catchy TikTok. You might capture a more casual moment for Instagram, or a more dynamic section from the content for YouTube. So be aware. Think about the perspective of the content that you are creating with the repurposing of that material. Let's move on to problematizing. Remember that by posing questions that challenge assumptions, you can increase the problematizing of your approach and identify areas for improvement in your own content and in the media niche more generally. So if you're taking a screenshot of the video you created to put on Instagram, the description of the screenshot could be challenging some assumption about the text. I'm doing something differently this week, or we're challenging this notion. The other thing that you can problematize are the tropes and trends. There are lots of overly used and repetitive kind of meme content in YouTube. For example, if I had $1 for every time a YouTuber transitioned from their introduction to their main body of their video with without further ado, or ado, however you want to say it, right? It doesn't actually mean what they think it means. So if I had $1 for that, I'd be very wealthy. It's one of those things that really stick out once you notice it on YouTube. For your blog post, what are some of the trends that you have noticed in the media niche, and in repurposing your content that you created last week to proliferate across different platforms? How can you adapt or challenge or avoid those trends, and how can you recognize that in your blog posts? Another part of this question of problematizing is challenging cultural stereotypes. How might you reframe content in a way that challenges certain representations of gender or culture or race or whatever? How can you contribute to your media niche in a way that is not necessarily confronting? You don't want to alienate your audience, but you do want to clearly promote a progressive approach. This is not an easy skill to develop. I recommend subtlety, or if you just want to go all out, sure, experiment in that way. That just don't offend anyone. Right? We have to take this carefully. All right, approaching the digital artifact is the approach to the digital artifact is experimentation. Now is the time to really explore the media niche through content creation. The idea is that you'll come away with a portfolio of media that you'll be able to use when you come in to do when you come in to apply for jobs and things like that. But you can, now is the time to just mess around and find out, right? Don't be precise. No one is judging your content. I mean, make sure you get your facts right. That's for sure. But we're not assessing the quality of your media content, right? The aesthetics. You can just be recording stuff on your phone. That is cool. We are assessing your blog posts. We're assessing your reflection on your learning. We're assessing that final digital artifact contextual report where you're going through the processes of autoethnography. We don't care about likes or hits or numbers of views at this stage. None of that is important. That's for after you graduate. What we're here for now is your reflection on your learning. What are you learning by doing this? That's what we want to see in the blog posts. For the blog posts, in sharing your media across multiple platforms, what did you find out? What will you do differently in the next cycle of content generation and platform proliferation? Okay, lastly, this week, we want you to be shaping the persona of your online presence in the media niche. And we do this through the skill of conceptualizing. What is it you stand for? What are your key themes? Who are you presenting into this world? Remember that authenticity is about being true to the representation that you're trying to present. You don't have to reveal personal information to be authentic. You just have to be grounded, and you have to be drawing on authentic research in order to communicate better to your audience. Being authentic means that you can come back and augment. You can come back and refine. You can come back and revisit your concept. Just because you put stuff down in this initial experimentation phase doesn't mean you're locked into it. We see this all the time with content creators, growing, learning, changing. I don't like the term evolving, but you can see this happening in real time in your media niche. So think about how you're shaping your content through how you're repurposing it. Don't just blanketly put stuff out. Be strategic. Why did you choose that clip to put on TikTok? Why did you choose that screenshot to put on Instagram? How does that contribute to your online persona? And you can reflect on that in the blog post. How clearly do you understand the concept of your content, and how is it changing? How effectively are you communicating the concept of your content, and how is that changing? Especially as you start to repurpose that content and put it across as many different platforms as you can. There's no excuse for just being a one platform participant in this experiment. Okay, how is the process of generating and proliferating your content helping you to understand the topic, the target audience, the medium, the purpose of the content? Distilling all of this into a clear, engaging, and coherent concept. When it comes to applying this skill to multi-platform content distribution, it's about understanding how to translate or reshape that concept, that content, and that concept to different platforms. Each social media platform has its unique characteristics, its trends, its norms, and its audience behaviors. A concept that works well in a 20-minute YouTube video is obviously not going to work exactly the same way in a TikTok video. So what is the most remembered moment, right? That's a key part of autoethnography, right? Think about when you've created that video, what is the highlight that stands out? And that means you don't have to go through the whole thing. You just think, all right, that's the moment I want. That's what I'm going to put on TikTok. A practical example, right? If you're running a campaign about mental health awareness, the central concept might be about breaking the stigma around mental health. How do you conceptualize that from a podcast to YouTube or Instagram or TikTok? In each case, you're cutting and shaping and refitting that concept for the particular platform so that it resonates in such a way with the audience on that platform. For instance, Instagram and TikTok to an extent, hashtags are really important. But sometimes you see people go too many hashtags, and that can be off-putting. Sometimes people put irrelevant hashtags, and that's really frustrating for me as an audience member, I can tell you. Okay. You're conceptualizing one idea in multiple ways and repurposing that same piece of content across multiple platforms. So the skill of conceptualizing in this context involves creativity, adaptability, a deep understanding of your content, a growing understanding of your audience and of the platforms that you're using. Conceptualizing is about translating your idea across different mediums in an appropriate way and ensuring that your core message is communicated effectively on each platform. That's it for this week. I look forward to seeing your content move across different platforms and, of course, your accounts of this in the blog posts this week. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.